So we're gonna start by actually doing 3 presentations today. I will do the presentation and give a bit of a background on Human Guild, what we are all about, what we focus on these days, and then we're gonna do a presentation with Riqi about what's new and what's exciting and what's the future of Paras, and then we're gonna do it for Jonathan and Mintgate and everything that's happening in NFT space and token gating space. We actually also will do a giveaway for which I will provide the link in Zoom right now. Actually, in the chat, I'm gonna send the information about the giveaway. Hopefully, linking here works. And then after this, we're gonna actually split into 3 concurrent AMAs. And so we're gonna do AMA in Telegram for Paras. We're gonna do a voice channel in Mintgate's Discord with Jonathan. And we're gonna also do the, one second, I believe I actually sent it in a wrong for, yep, I resent, thank you, Riqi, for, for letting me know, but I resent actually the giveaway information to everyone. And so to come back to the agenda, we're gonna do 3 different presentations. I'm gonna talk about Human Guild, Riqi gonna showcase what's new for Paras. Jonathan, we're gonna do a presentation about what's new for Mintgate and what's exciting happening on that front. And then we're gonna actually break into 3 separate AMA sessions, respectively in Paras's Telegram, in a voice channel for Discord for Mintgate, and as well as voice channel for Human Guild for our Discord, where I'll be joined actually with Vlad as well. Cool. So for the first actually presentation, I'm gonna share the screen. And do presentation. Can people see my screen? Cool. So the first presentation will be about Human Guild. I'll just double check that people see my screen. One sec. Cool. Awesome. So the first presentation will be about Human Guild. So Human Guild is the guild within a NEAR ecosystem. Before doing presentation about Human Guild, I actually want to do a quick shout out to both Paras and Mintgate and give my personal kind of touch on this. So Paras actually started as a personal website generator in December of 2019, was built on Blockstack technology. And actually by March of 2020, Riqi and Afik pivoted the company into becoming a Web3 focused social network, which needed actually smart contracts. And so as a result, Riqi went on a search for a smart contract platform. On Twitter, he uncovered NEAR. And actually within a month from there, which is super interesting, he pivoted yet again. So, and I personally find it very kind of inspirational because pivots are very hard. People are used to planning. People are used to not doing pivots. It's not natural for people. And Riqi's team actually was able to pivot twice, not just once, but twice. And so they saw a lot of traction coming from the artist side of things. And just a month later, in April of 2020, they pivoted yet again into NFT Marketplace, away from Web3 social network into NFT Marketplace. Since the team kind of was already getting started with NEAR, the timing worked out really well. So for Paras, they were able to actually end up being one of the first early applications launching on NEAR. When NEAR launched late 2020 into mainnet, Paras launched as well. And you can also see the graph. It's probably very small, tiny, and hard to see, but the graph here showcases the usage for Paras. Actually, you see the spike around April of this year when NFT kind of hype cycle started, and then you see a lot of uptick in usage as of very recently in August as well. And so Riqi will talk about this in detail in his presentation. For Mintgate, actually, wanted to also give shout out to Nima. I met actually Jonathan and his team for the first time in Telegram group that Nima started in September of 2020. Mintgate was actually one of the also early projects that went through Open Web Collective, the incubator accelerator that I started in Near, and Mimi is running right now, and also kind of very dear to my heart. And I also had a fascinating conversation actually with Jonathan about co-ops and future of digital cooperatives. And if you want to give it a listen, it's on Next Creators podcast. It's a very fascinating topic. I think a lot of digital cooperatives we're going to see emerge later this year and in years to follow. And for me personally, it's like super interesting topic. And also what's exciting as it relates to the Near ecosystem, Mintgate actually launched support for token gating with Near as a NFT standard, as well as Mintbase as a first platform to enable this in July of this year, just recently. So that's super exciting, and you'll hear a lot more about Mintgate from Jonathan from his presentation very soon. Now, in terms of the agenda for my presentation, I'm going to briefly talk in terms of background on Human Guild, as well as kind of explain what it is to begin with. I'm going to showcase the most interesting part of this presentation for myself will be the showcase of selected gaming projects in Near ecosystem. We're still early, but the projects are like very, very interesting, and I'm going to touch on them. I will also mention what is Web3 native games and what we think are Web3 native games. I will also briefly mention about community-driven game development and what it means and exciting kind of things on that front. I'm going to present a bit on 2021, like rest of the year plan for Human Guild, as well as explain kind of how we think about 2022 and why that year will be exciting for the gaming. As far as afterwards, basically, I'll show a bit of how you get involved with Human Guild across many different things we do, as well as after this, we're going to do AMA session, as I mentioned afterwards. But first, there'll be Riqi doing presentation on Paras again, and Jonathan doing presentation on Mintgate right after this presentation. So in terms of the background on Human Guild, so Sasha, myself, and Vlad pretty much like started it. We worked in Near since 2018. I was pretty much the kind of like first person talking to the market for the first year and a half or 2 years in Near. Talked to hundreds of founders, actually, maybe like 350 roughly. Vlad, on the other hand, built a lot of pieces of the early infrastructure for Near. So he built the first ID for Near. He built a big chunk of Near wallet as well. He was a team lead for that team. More recently, Vlad was involved with the first virtual world built on Near called Near Lens. I'm going to mention it briefly in a presentation soon, as well as Vlad built the tool that he ironically calls Web4, which is automated deployment for smart contracts as a website. And actually some teams in Near ecosystem already used it. So that's also really exciting. Now, for majority of 2019, I was talking to a lot of applications, including actually gaming. So I talked to a majority of game studios in crypto that existed at that time. Actually, what we learned from this is that it ended up being part of product strategy change for Near. So we learned when I was talking to game studios, we learned at the time at least that nobody cared about scalability. And so we started Near from perspective of we're building scalable blockchain. Our team built sharded databases before. Sharded blockchains is one way to scale blockchains. I was talking to game studios. I was asking them if they need scalability. They were telling me like, we actually don't. And I was like, wait, like we're building scalable solution. How come you don't need it? And they were like saying, essentially, it's a secondary problem to us. We need to first get gamers to become part of this ecosystem, become users in our games. And there is, in fact, challenge with how onboarding is done. There is, in fact, a big challenge with how transactions are handled. There is, in fact, a big challenge with how account model is done. And so Near actually, because Near was building blockchain from scratch, had the benefit of actually like rethinking how onboarding is done, how transactions are handled, and how account model is done. And I think to date, actually, the biggest kind of the biggest thing that Near enables is actually end user usability and ability to bring mass market to blockchain applications. That's how I think at least about Near. Now, the gaming as well, something to mention about gaming is that it was very, very challenging to be a blockchain game up until actually December of 2020, until huge success in blockchain gaming with X Infinity. So X Infinity is a play to earn model. X Infinity is a play-to-earn game that actually went vertical late last year. So it started in August with people going into COVID lockdown in Philippines and Indonesia. A lot of people started to play the game. They learned from their family and friends that there is a way to actually get paid for playing the game, and actually went vertically from since then. And by now, it's actually a lot easier to be a blockchain game because a lot of investors interested, a lot of larger game studios interested. But for majority of my time talking with blockchain game studios was actually very, very challenging to be able to launch the game because it's actually very cross-functional in nature. It usually requires a couple of years to actually launch the game, and without having access to funding, it was very challenging. As a result, we actually had very few launches in gaming space. So like X Infinity, Skyweaver, Dark Forest are almost like the only there are a couple more games like Crypto Blades, a couple others, but it's very, very few blockchain gaming projects that were able to get all the way to mainnet. And the reason was, as I mentioned, this very challenging environment as it relates to being able to get resources to build a game in the first place. Now, for myself personally, for Vlad, for 2021, we decided to change the format of our work, and Near started decentralization of organization. And so we started spin-off, the Human Guild, and in fact, there are a lot more spin-offs that are starting to happen in your ecosystem, such as Proximity, focusing on incubation natively on Near of DeFi projects, Aurora, EVM on Near, Open Web Collective becoming its own spin-off, Satori, which I don't want to go too deep on it yet, but you'll hear more about it in the next couple of weeks. So what is Human Guild? So Human Guild, we are open group of founders and creators who believe everybody should be able to earn what they need in order to do what they love. We have a Discord group. We have roughly 500 people in that group, and we are helping people to get to mainnet, to get usage after they launch. Our mission is to increase amount of people earning cryptocurrencies every day. We believe this is the most sustainable way to grow the real economy, where actual people getting paid by doing the different kinds of work in online economy. When Human Guild started, we started tracking this number for number of earners across all of the applications on Near. And by the way, the context of how people earn is very different per application. So if it's Near crowd, people actually earn by doing image labeling. If it's NFT Marketplace like Paras, people actually getting paid by selling their NFTs. And it's more like creators who are getting paid. If it's some kind of DeFi project, such as Rev Finance, for example, liquidity providers are the ones who are getting paid. And so we essentially track the amount of earners across all of the applications, and making sure that this number is growing. The biggest factor for how to grow this number is to have more applications launching, and successful applications consequential to number of earners in ecosystem. So today we're actually close to 10x of this number. It's 2,400 of people within Near ecosystem who are paid on a weekly basis across all of the applications. And as I mentioned, what we our role that we play here is we help people launch into mainnet, shortening the time there. A lot of it is also introducing Web3 thinking, how to do community first development, how to think about community and creating economic upside for the community, as well as guiding some of the teams through the usage post launch, which can be on a product side, such as product improvements, could be also on a user acquisition side, such as vertical experiments. You'll hear from Paras about the new vertical they're opening as example of this. Now, the most exciting part of this presentation is actually showcase of gaming projects. And I'm not gonna go through all of them, but I will show selected games on Near that are very interesting ones. So the virtual world on Near the first 3D virtual world on Near will be launched early 2022. It's called Marble Place. It will be built by experienced game maker, and it will feature essentially marble-based worlds, and anybody will be able to create marble-based worlds. So far, we have seen that in game jams, indie game developers getting excited about this concept. but we'll have to wait for a bit to have it launched. Now, the 2D virtual world, the first one that already exists, still has a bit of a rudimentary functionality. It's called Near Lens. It was built by Vlad, actually. It supports multiplayer already. Support for audio chat is coming up soon. The lens sale support is coming up soon. We'll be adding the real kind of games inside of this world. So there will be dungeon crawlers within the world. We will move also Human Guild Hangouts from CryptoVoxels into Near Lens, and we actually do Hangouts every Friday within our community in CryptoVoxels. And once Near Lens is fully ready, we're going to be moving to less dimensional world from 3D world into 2D world, but exciting nevertheless. Now, the OP Games is actually indie game maker platform. So OP Games will be launching in Q4 of this year, following success of Yield Guild and Axie Infinity. And people behind OP Games actually worked with Yield Guild team before together in 2019. So they're like very closely working there together. Essentially, they're launching a platform that will allow any game makers to easily introduce NFT functionality into their games, starting with avatars and some other functionalities like levels, characters. And the initial focus in terms of platform will be the web browser games. And that's where there's a lot of actually overlap between what Human Guild is doing and what OP Games is doing, because we are starting to do a lot more game jams, and OP Games is also attracting indie game developers specifically. Now, the one game that is actually not indie game, but more of a like complex game that's launching on Near is called Hashrush. So Hashrush so far is only available for PC. It's a mix between real-time strategy games that existed and were popular maybe 10 plus years ago, such as Warcraft 3, Starcraft 2. And it also has a bit more casual component, more like similar to Dota. So far, 45,000 people played it for PC. I would love to try it once Mac version will be available in a month or so. And it's generally best gameplay I've personally ever seen in blockchain gaming. You can see the gameplay by going to YouTube and searching for Hashrush. You'll be able to see a lot of videos related to the gameplay of Hashrush. And that's another team we're working closely with, because Hashrush actually will be onboarding a lot of other games as well as part of Vorto Gaming, which is a gaming economy platform for which Hashrush is the first showcase game. So you can think of Vorto Games as almost like Animoca of Europe, and Animoca is a huge gaming conglomerate from Asia. Now, another interesting project is called Metaverse. So Metaverse is a studio out of Toronto, Canada, that's building multiple titles of games on Near, and all these games will be interconnected. So there's interoperability of characters within different games of one and the same game studio called Metaverse. So they built the first simple game called Metamon, and they're building right now Arcane Tarot. They're building Rare Politics. They're introducing new titles, and across these titles, there will be interoperability of characters. So that's a first kind of like universe of Web3 games on Near. That's kind of like how I think about it. Pixel Apps, people might be familiar with Pixel Apps. It was built by the team led by Daniela. He built already 3 different projects on Near. He's actually building Unity integration right now. He brought all of his friends to build Near-based games. So I'm really grateful to Daniela for this. We have several actually games built by Daniela's friends at this point in time. So it started as a drawing game called Pixel Party, and evolved into pet trading and actually pet battle game. And so each token there represents one of total different 70 pets. There are 4 different rarity types, each related to a certain quality type and pet level. You can hatch the eggs, you can train your pets, you can evolve pets and fight ultimately between different pets. Galaxy Online, so that's a space game that has pretty complex gameplay. They have already 4,000 players playing it, and there are actually multiple races within the game. Each race is representing different blockchains, and so Near is represented by the race that is already 650 people strong. That's how many people already played it. And also the game is fully moving to Near as well. So right now we are gone through internal security audit for the contract for the Galaxy. Apple Labs is one of the projects that is focused on avatar creation and procedural generation system that works with Unity. So alongside with NearCon in October, we'll hear more about launch of Apple Labs. It was designed around the concept of magic moments, so providing new Near users with a minimum number of touch points so they can get to experience the core qualities and benefits of Near, specifically usability side of it for end users. There's Fiction Spawn. It's one of the many actually early games that were incubated out of Paras, and Riqi might actually mention on their collaboration with Fiction Spawn in his presentation. But it started as a beautifully arted experience on Paras, and right now actually Paras is working with a creator on a new IP on that front. There is a Scribble-like game where players join in rooms and try to guess what others drew. So that's another game called Drawfalls, and players will be able to collect achievements, participate on P2P tournaments. That's actually built by one of the previous Game Jam participants, which is like really cool. Now that's one that's like personally very, very exciting for me. Shroom Kingdom is built by a game developer out of Germany named Mario, and Mario built actually many Mario games before. What's interesting about it is that Mario is specifically building the game with the community together in a very piecemeal fashion. And we engage in the community from the very beginning, before game even exists. I think that's kind of like the future. That's how Web3 native projects will be created in the future. And in fact, we're going to be creating documentary about it as well to then educate kind of like Web2 space about what's possible. I'll mention a little bit more about it just shortly. Boxscore is actually a sports trivia game focusing on mobile platforms. Was with Near since 2019 on a third iteration of the product. We'll be integrating Near shortly. There is Artera, one of the first esports marketplaces on Near. They just signed actually a partnership with Leicester City, former player Christian Fuchs, on initial NFT drop to commemorate him, Christian, retiring. So that's like super interesting. So it's an esports marketplace, also working with sports athletes as well. There's also Minted GG. They're actually moving to college sports area, actively onboarding on Near at the moment. Very strong engineering team. Crypto Hero, it's actually, what's exciting about Crypto Hero, it will be launching in November. It will be the first game launched on Near that takes advantage of Unity integration. So it will be a dungeon crawler. It will have battle-tested integration for Unity. Gameplay will include building heroes and centered around the economy side of things, trading items, improving the hero, competing with other heroes. So that's very exciting, because once we have essentially Unity integration ready, it will really open up the kind of market for more complex games, obviously. Dragons is actually the first trading card game on Near. It will take quite a bit of time to launch, probably close to a year from now. Just one note here is that majority of the games I'm showing are built by people who have full-time jobs, and they do those games in their evenings and weekends. And so it takes time naturally for people to be able to launch those experiences over time. So in case of Dragons, it will take actually longer, but it will be the first trading card game that I know, at least, within Near ecosystem. And by the way, the cool thing about Near ecosystem that I actually might be missing context at this point, I cannot keep up with Near ecosystem anymore, which is like really positive, actually. Another game that's actually a bit simpler, but I got very addicted to the first version of this game, is the chain typing game. So chain typing game is focused on encouraging people to improve their typing speed and accuracy. Earnings actually coming from both staking and avatar sales. The first version of the game is already available. Although I don't want to share links just yet, just not to put additional pressure on a game developer working on this. And Another game, 2D NFT RPG game, will be starting also soon. Here's kind of like early concept art for this one, and we have dedicated channel for this game as well on our Discord channel. So you can actually, by the way, like can follow some of the developments in Human Guild Discord channel to the extent where game developers were comfortable enough to actually build it together with the community, which adds pressure. And we definitely don't want to put additional pressure on creators. To the extent that people were okay with that, we actually started a couple channels, and you can follow the evolution of LK Revival. Now, to come back briefly to Human Guild, and hopefully I'll go through this quickly. Hopefully it's not too content dense for everyone. I'm going to mention about what we're going to do, at least on Human Guild side of things for this year, as well as what I think will happen in 2022. So for 2021, the important piece is to finish game engine integrations. We have Unity being built. We have Godot being built. Godot is open source game engine integration. Godot will be actually used in the RPG game I just mentioned. Unity will be used in Dungeon Crawler. I also just mentioned called Crypto Hero. Once we have both integrations ready, it will be actually possible to do more complex games on Near. We are also starting to evangelize community-driven launches. So community-driven launches is something I'll mention shortly on, but it's something that we actually want to create full documentary about, because there's a lot of pushback with this new model, and I actually want to showcase the success, document it, and actually then kind of showcase to people that it's actually a viable way and in fact better way to build games. We have a couple live games launching later this year, such as Hash Rush, game platform, as I mentioned, OP Games. We have Crypto Hero launching, Galaxy Online launching, and Near Drawfalls launching, Chain Typing launching, Apple Labs launching, Near Lens launching with fuller functionality. We are starting to do outbound into Web2 game developers starting next week, actually. So September is the first time we're going to restart doing kind of like outbound outreach into Web2 game developers. I'm personally very, very excited about starting the outbound again. What's interesting to mention here is that Near community is starting to help us quite a bit on that front. So people approached me and volunteered to do work, and it has been like amazing to be able to actually work with people in a community. It became kind of like extension of Human Guild at this point on two sides, actually, on outbound as well as video content. So video content is something we're also piloting. We're going to double down on 3 different types of content. We're going to do project highlights content. We're going to do educational content, and we're going to do gaming related content. Some of it will go on Human Guild YouTube. Some of it will go on Near YouTube. I don't need to probably bore people with details here. We're also doing 3 game jams this year. So we've done 1. There is 1 ongoing, and there is 1 coming up in October. Game Dev GS is the one we've done. We actually we were able to bring 2 people who were top 3 winners in that game jam to build different things within Near. So they actually stayed with the ecosystem, and one of them is building the game engine integration. One of them is building individual game, and actually helping Vlad with virtual world build out. So it's very exciting from the perspective of follow through. We're actually able to engage people post game jam. The one that's actually happening right now is called JS 13K. So for that one, game developers can build games that are very simple and can compile down to 13 kilobytes, unless you're building decentralized game, in which case you don't need to comply to this particular size limit. And so we are expecting quite a bit of maybe like dozen and a half of game developers to participate in the decentralized challenge, which Human Guild is sponsoring. And by October, we're gonna do Ludum Dare 49, another game jam that's coming up in October. So the important piece about game jams is follow through, is actually people who are able to kind of engage and build something cool within the ecosystem afterwards. So that's the most important kind of piece of that. We are also participating in Near Hackathon. We have dedicated bounty for Near Hackathon as well. And the other piece is that we're going to also explore on-chain games and other mashups with some Web2 game developers from now until end of the year as well. Now, 2022 plan is actually, we might, by the time we feel kind of strong about our own game developer community, we're going to be able to actually start doing our own game jams. I don't think it will happen until middle of next year, realistically, but we essentially have a strong interest in building our own branded game jams and run a lot of them. We're going to open up the market for Web2 game developers, because by the time 2022 starts, we have the process smoothed out. We have the video documentary about how to do community-driven game development. We have Unity and Godot integration available. We have experience with game jams available to us. So essentially, we'll be able to open up Web2 game developer market from there. And hopefully, we'll see. I might be optimistic, but we hope to launch 20 or 30 games together with the community. And from our end, we're going to try to help as much as we can. So things we focus on, lastly, so Web3 native games. So when we think about what is possible in terms of Web3 meets gaming, we actually think about new kinds of games. We don't think about retrofitting the old games into new model. We think about new games. And I wanted to give huge thanks to both Alex KPR, Alex Kuprin, who works at Near, who is joining one of the spinouts actually in Near ecosystem, for doing a lot of thinking about on-chain games specifically. And I wanted to give shout out also for Vlad for developing a lot of ideas as it relates to Web3 native gaming. So Vlad came up with a lot of ideas around Web3 native gaming. We are starting to engage Web2 game developers into those in those ideas, and that's actually like very, very important fundamentally for us to accelerate the evolution of this, because a lot of people coming into crypto space, they're excited to learn about crypto and how to build on crypto, but they have usually not much idea yet what is possible with Web3 gaming. And so those ideas actually like really fundamental for engaging people to kind of like what to build. Now, community-driven development, I mentioned briefly on this, but it's a concept that you can build games, and it, by the way, it doesn't apply just to games, with the community. So you start it in a very piecemeal way. You build it together with the community by sharing the concept of the game. You design actually economic upside for the community to get involved. You dissect early community into roles that you think would help you succeed. You create a DAO to bootstrap community engagement. You consider fundraise if needed. You share initial MVP with early community. You align token economics with game ownership. You engage influencers, and finally do initial game launch and evolve from there, importantly, because it's not just about launch, of course, it's about success post-launch. The person who took it like really to heart, this new approach, is actually Mario, as I mentioned earlier, who's building Shroom Kingdom. And so we're going to be actually documenting his journey. We're going to be producing maybe 3-4 minutes of content every month as he's building this, because we really want to evangelize this approach, which by the way, I have a lot of pushback on. It's not something that people are comfortable with in a game development. Now, we're also starting to do community building both online and offline. So online, we're starting to hang out with our own community. Vlad and I were actually noobs when it comes to building communities. So what we learned from our community on our Discord is that a lot of people are just lurking and not fully kind of engaging in conversations. We asked people why you're not engaged in conversations. People were saying, well, we actually don't know anybody, and so we are introverts by default. Like, we wouldn't engage with people unless we know them. We realized, oh shit, well, we know people. Turns out people don't know each other. So obviously we need to change that. We started doing weekly hangouts on Fridays. As a result, people starting to get to know each other. We're building the culture of people helping each other, actually. So now that people know each other, now that we've done those events maybe couple months every week, now I'm actually introducing this concept of asking people, what is your challenges in your particular project, and how community importantly can help you. And so now we're starting to see this like really positive kind of like energy around people starting to engage with each other and help each other and engage in deeper conversations. And so that's exactly what we're going for with the community building online as it relates to Human Guild. Now, offline is another kind community I want personally to build, which is basically we need to grow the pie. We need to really grow the amount of people involved in crypto. The way I think about it is that we need to bring a lot more crypto curious people into crypto space. I see it from my personal friendship circle. I see a lot of crypto curious people, and if you're crypto curious, the only kind of thing that prevents you from joining crypto space is maybe you're like happy with your current work. And so if that's the case, that's okay. Over long term, this person will be converted to crypto. If it's if people on the other hand ready to join right now, that's even better. We're starting to do monthly events, starting with San Francisco. We've done one just last Thursday in a park. We had 60 people coming up to the event. We're going to do another one end of September. We want to actually do it in many other cities. So we're like looking actively for community organizers in other cities to do this. And so we're bringing a lot more crypto curious people. We also focus on onboarding people onto Near as well during those events. So if you are in Bay Area, definitely consider stopping by the next event, late September. And as I mentioned, we're going to be doing also video content series to add to podcast series that we're already doing. So educational content will involve around Near community members teaching the rest of the community on non-technical aspects of Web3, such as what is token economics, how to create economic upside for the community, why communities are important, what is DAO, strategies for hackathons, and things like that. We might do actually game-related track as it relates to education for game developer podcast. And we're talking to the community of large community of 1,500 game developers in London to do a track of crypto gaming, because their community is very interested in this, and we happen to have people who can tell a lot about this. We are thinking to do project highlights, so do 3-4 minute high quality documentary style videos about various projects within human guild ecosystem. So for example, we would do a video about Porous. We're going to showcase Indonesia to the extent lockdown is over, and kind of create the project highlights videos as well. And as I mentioned also earlier, we're going to be doing game series, video series as well, starting with Shroom Kingdom, because that's actually very important for us to evangelize people on how to build games with the community together. And that's exactly what Shroom Kingdom founder is doing. He actually started DAO. He started introducing 3,000 people that he has in his Discord on what DAOs are. He started telling people that he needs help with building this game. He started 4 different job openings, and people starting to actually apply and build game together with him. So that's very exciting. We want to do video content about this and evangelize it as much as we can. Now, how you can get involved with Human Guild is actually we have a Discord. That's kind of like primary place where we hang out. We also have Twitter. There's a Human Guild Twitter. There's my Twitter. I tweet about gaming a lot more as of recently. So if you follow me, you'll get a lot of gaming related feed. And Vlad is also tweeting a lot about what he's seen in a space, as well as about his virtual world that he's building, as well as other tools such as Web4 that he's building, such as Game Jam type of content that he's building as well right now, such as how to get started on Near if you're building a game. So follow Vlad for this. We also have DAO. We actually don't talk about our DAO too much. We don't actively market it, but we do have a bit of funding available for incubations of different games and virtual worlds. To the extent that you are interested in building something on Near that increases amount of earners, definitely hit us up on that front. We also have YouTube, which is fairly young, but if you search for Human Guild on YouTube, you can find it. We also have a podcast called Next Creators, where we bring creators, founders, and game developers. And afterwards, after we're done with presentations, we will host, as I mentioned, AMA session in Human Guild Discord voice. Vlad will join me there. But for right now, we're going to actually move to next presentation. We'll have Riqi present on what's latest about Porous, which verticals they're going after next, and product improvements. So I'll give the stage to Riqi.
Right, thank you, Sasha, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here with all of you. Let me just find my screen. Where is it? This one. Yes. All right. So I hope you guys can see my screen.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah. First of all, thank you everyone for joining in. Happy to be here with all of you. And also especially to be in a panel with Sasha and Jonathan, who is a good friend, who are a good friend of mine, and we've actually doing a lot of stuff together in the background since a couple weeks ago. All right, so for all of you that haven't heard about me, like my name is Riqi and I'm from Paras. Our vision is to support and develop crypto native IPs. No, so a little bit introduction about Paras. Paras is a blockchain-based NFT marketplace for card collectibles. We are actually one of the first application launched in Yermenet, just like what Sasha mentioned earlier. We launched back in December 2020, and we've been running since then and growing, within the ecosystem. As for the last couple of months, I guess we did this full event called Card for Card, and that's one thing that I want to talk about in this presentation. So so for all of you guys that haven't take a look at Paras, haven't heard about Card for Card, it is a monthly event where artists and collectors swap their cards, and you can think of it as a trading cards convention, right? It is not actually swapping. It is essentially the artists are selling their art cards in a much lower price, ranging from $0.1 up to like $5. I guess, and that's the kind of thing that we are happy. We're happy with, so all these artists can swap and get more collection in their wallet, in their profile, and also the collectors can purchase all of these cool cards and grab it into their collection. And we actually got some huge spike, I'll say. From July we got like 1K transactions, and on August we go like 3x into 3,000 transactions. Hopefully we can do it, we can keep increasing all these transactions, all the earners, and got more users to collect NFTs, and bring all those mainstream users to start collecting NFTs. So what next, right? In the NFT, we've I guess the NFT hype is still has been around like 7-8 months or so, and it started in the digital art. And I think that's not the only thing that we have in NFT. Digital art is just the tip of the iceberg. We have more than that. We have games, films, comics, and for example, in the past couple of months, 2 or 3 months, X Infinity, Crypto Blades, a lot of cool crypto games, play to earn kind of style. It goes wild, right? And so yeah, there are a lot more verticals that we can explore, and I believe we're still at the top of the iceberg, at the tip of the iceberg, and there are more for us to explore. And also the playing field for the NFT in the next couple of months, in next years, will be very much different. So for example, in the early days of the NFT, in the early 2021, we saw a lot of huge sales, $1 million sales, 100K, 50K. And yeah, well, that's basically what's happening in the early stage. And I believe that's not gonna be the standard of how we should launch an NFT project in the future. It is gonna be more of like the second one, where you build the projects from zero. You build it within the community, you talk with your friends, you talk with the other users, and you grow it all together, the project from $0 to $50, $100, up to $1 million, up to like $1 billion, for example. And that's gonna be the standard, I will say, just like what Sasha mentioned, a community-driven approach where the whole community works together to make to give value to the projects, not only just one creator, not only just the core team, but all together, but the community all together works to make value into the project. One good examples that I love is Board App Club. I guess that that's kind of like becoming the standard of what should the NFT projects, and especially the Avatar project, should do. They sell it like in a cheap way, for example, 0.3 or 0.5 Ethereum, if I'm not mistaken, and everybody could just jump in, everybody could just join, buy, and and all of these people, they got into the board app community, and they pretty much grow the community altogether. They make the board app value, value to be increased to, for example, 1 Ethereum, 2 Ethereum, 5 Ethereum, 10 Ethereum, up to, I don't know what's the latest price for board app right now. But I believe that's what will be happening. That's what will be, that's what the playing field for the next NFT project should be. And yeah, so the next NFT, the next generation NFT, I believe it's gonna be revolved around the crypto native IPs, and it's pretty much everything, like projects from games, comics, novels, films, toys, that is published originally on crypto and blockchain technology and generate revenue and become sustainable via cryptocurrency and NFTs. So it's basically every project, that you publish originally on crypto and hopefully exclusively on crypto, so that you can have this great community driven development with pretty much like skin in the game for all of the users. And the cool thing is that you can actually start with $0. For example, in you cannot really do that on Ethereum, for example. On Ethereum, you need maybe $100, $200 to deploy contract, but on Near, it is almost, I don't know, $1, $2, I guess, to deploy contract, and it is very, it's very cheap. It is almost like nothing to worry about for developing an NFT project on Near. And one example of the crypto native IP is gaming, and we're actually gonna double down on it. We work closely with Human Guilds to bring more indie games into Near. We are going to focus on onboarding more Southeast Asia developers into the Near ecosystem and build their like exclusive games on Near. We actually provide technical supports, mentorships, marketing, and obviously an NFT drops, because we run a marketplace. And that's going to be a good way for all the game developers to start, get some funding to see if their collection, if their NFT, if their ideas work for all of these gamers. And the next thing is about the unlockables. For content creators, Near provides smooth Web3 experience, ready to onboard the masses. And we'll be integrating with Mintgate very soon. There will be a lot, there will be unlockables in Para. And for all of you guys, creators out there, you can, pretty much give the high resolution version of your NFT, maybe some behind the scenes videos or anything else that you can share with your collectors. On top of all that, let's team up. We actually provide a grant for you to work on your projects. It could be games, comics, toys, or anything else. Something that maybe we haven't even think about. So do not be shy and just send me your email, and on Riqi@paras.id. Very happy to discuss with you, brainstorm with you, and see how we can work together. And the last part for the Paras, for the marketplace, the big migration is coming, and it's coming really soon. So Paras version 2 is gonna be an open marketplace with wallet integration and unlockable content, and a lot more features to come. So yeah, this is gonna be like very big from our side. We're going to do like this big migration from in the blockchain space from one contract to another contract. So it's gonna be messy from our side. No, it's gonna be hard from our side, but everything will be ready very soon. And so yeah, I think that's about it for the marketplace. And right now, I'm very happy to share with you the next industry vertical that we have been exploring, and it is comic. So Paras will be launching a new product very soon after the big migration. It is a comic by Paras. It is basically a native Web 3.0 comic platform where you can truly own your digital comics. So the big vision is to go beyond digital comic. So all comics in Paras are going to be published with NFT technology and smart contract capabilities. We enable open interaction between readers, fans, authors, which basically improve the whole comic reading experience. Well, we basically combine the best of the both world, the physical comic and also the digital comic, where the physical comic you get a sense of ownership. You really really own the chapters, the issue, that the books that you bought. While the digital comic, you have this a really great accessibility where you can read it anywhere, and it is very easy for all the users out there. So we basically combine both of the best of both worlds, and with the NFT technology, I believe we can do that. There are a lot more possibilities that we can do with NFTs. For example, we can have, if you bought this NFT, your name will be on the next chapter's credit. For example, if you bought this NFT, then you can do, I don't know, like you get some free commission from the authors themselves. That will be great, right? So there are a lot more for us to explore. So happy to hear more if you got some ideas about comic. And right now we already working with 4 exclusive and original IPs, and actually one of them is our own original IP. So enter Paradigm. Paradigm is a fantasy, action, and sci-fi comic inspired by the lore of Pillars of Paras, which a collection that we sold back in April, and it sold out only in 12 hours. Very grateful with that. And it's Paradigm's gonna be the standard of all the comic to come. You can think of it like what Bored Ape did with the Avatar projects, and we want to do the same with Paradigm. We want Paradigm to be the benchmark of all the comic projects to come. So we want to make an examples on how we can launch a comic on the Web3 space, and this is how it should be done. As for the timeline, we are launching very soon, guys. So on September, we are going to have alpha, beta, and public access. Obviously, marketplace integration very soon with Paras Marketplace. And after that, we have the exclusive community. And later on, at the end of this year, we are targeting 10K active users. So hopefully we can achieve that. And hopefully you guys are interested to read all of these cool, exclusive, and original IPs. So let's expand the end game of NFTs together. There are a lot more verticals that we can explore. Like from Paras, we've been exploring games and comics right now, but we open with anything else that you have in your mind. For example, I don't know, like tabletop RPG, I guess, or novels, web novel, visual novel, something like that. We're very open with that kind of ideas. So just hit me up on email, riqi@paras.id. Very happy to discuss it with you. And so yeah, that's it. That's it about Paras and our future products, and the big migration is coming soon. You can also visit our website on our Telegram, where we can do the async AMA there, t.me/ParasHQ. And yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, I'll give it back to you, Sasha.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Riqi. That was awesome. So I just wanted to ask a couple questions. So what are you the most excited from now until end of the year, like just personally?
I'm sorry.
About both Paras, but also like NFT.
Yeah. So, yeah. I guess there will be like a lot more NFT projects. But I guess a lot more NFT projects too. So the NFT is not gonna be just digital art. So there will be a lot more projects building on top of the NFT technology, and it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a month, 2 months, 3 months for all these projects to be to launch. But it will be a better experience for all the users out there, for all the mainstream users. For example, the mainstream user will think, why should I bought this JPEGs, right? But if we move that to, for example, I can buy this JPEG and get some access. For example, I can get this 4K video on Mintgate. I can go to this Discord channel from the Colorblind and everything else. That will be like the next thing that will be happening in the NFT space.
Yep. And yeah, that's awesome. And next, we'll actually hear exactly about that. I believe part of the Jonathan's presentation next is actually about different types of NFTs, and actually expanding on this idea that it's not just art that is NFT. In fact, any kind of intellectual property that people produce and their actual relationship with their audiences that they build can be represented in form of NFTs. And so I want to introduce Jonathan, co-founder of Mintgate to present all of the latest on Mintgate, as well as the future of NFTs.
Thank you, Sasha. It's an absolute pleasure talking with you today, and I'm really happy to be here. Just a moment. All right, let's get started. Let me share my screen. All right. So my name is Jonathan Dunlap, and I am the CEO of Mintgate. Mintgate is a startup that I started with my other founders about 13 months ago. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do and why I think it's important to the Near ecosystem. So you're probably wondering, are we going to talk more about NFTs? You know, we've been talking about it for about let's see here, a full hour now, and yes, we are going to talk more about NFTs, but I guarantee you that this is going to be a bit different from what you've been hearing so far. We've been hearing a lot about NFTs in general over the last 2 years. Today, you can just basically pull up the news, type crypto, and you see most of the news being centralized around NFTs. And this includes major news outlets across different industries. What particularly interests me in the NFT space is the communities being built on it. Between the Bored Apes Yacht Club, Pudgy Penguins, and Lazy Lions, there's something kind of magical in the communities that are being built around this. It's not just art being sold, but it's actually characters being developed and created to help people represent their identities through NFT ownership. And I'm going to come back to why I think this is really important. And of course, we've been hearing in the news that some of these NFTs are going for a lot of money. And what's I think the craziest thing about all of this is that this isn't a normal anymore. We are seeing constant headlines of NFTs growing in value beyond anyone's expectations. I'm particularly interested, though, on how NFTs can help people from Black and marginalized communities being able to actually take financial ownership of the distribution and sale of their creative goods. We see here on the left, Paris Hilton working with her NFT startup to help artists directly sell their artwork to online communities to generate a real livelihood for artists everywhere. So why build NFTs on Near? I don't want to touch on this. One, there's already over 25,000 NFTs being generated on just Mintbase alone. There's a lot of demand from the Near ecosystem to create NFTs. And I think this has a large part, well, I'll touch on that in a moment. We see some new NFT marketplaces popping up, NFT hip hop, Berry Cards, and of course, Parasly we just heard about, which is having amazing success. The Near blockchain itself really benefits from the low gas fees, having a blockchain that scales really efficiently, an account management system for the actual ownership and distribution of NFTs, and a platform that lends itself well to building dApps around the ecosystem. But my favorite aspect of the Near blockchain is really the communities built around it, and why I think NFTs are really taking off within the Near ecosystem, because it's all about communities. I feel like for Near, it was the Human Guild that originally reached out to me and invited me to join the community and linked us with the Open Web Collective, where we met so many great founders and I learned a lot as a first-time founder myself. So can we do more with NFTs though? We've talked a lot about how NFTs can be used to sell artwork and to facilitate social signaling, and of course there's infinite potential for using NFTs for memes, but there's also new novel ways of using NFTs that Riqi touched on, like using it for comics. What I'm particularly passionate about, and what me and my founders identified 13 months ago, was what if you could use tokens to gain access to any kind of online content, to gain access and to unlock any kind of digital data that you're able to use through the internet as we know it today. Wouldn't that be grand? Well, a lot of NFT marketplaces today do what's called unlockable links, but these are largely links that are masked. They're hidden away from the end user until you gain ownership, and then you get to see the real link that's behind the token. So maybe if you put in like a YouTube link, once you own the token, you can then see the YouTube link. This falls short if you're a creator community creating very highly valuable content that's going to drive the value of the NFTs that you're creating. If you're going to be creating an hour-long video creative, you want to ensure that any user that gains access to that video file can't just turn around and paste that video link on Twitter. This immediately dilutes the value of your token. The token value is coming from the unlockable content behind it. It becomes very important to ensure that these links are protected. And this is ultimately the vision I have with Mintgate, is to be a Cloudflare content distribution network that is blockchain and blockchain wallet aware. So based off of token ownership with different token standards, you can gain a secure access to de-encrypt content, whether it's videos, audio, or general purpose data. Some of the content types that we support today, most recently we support movie length 4K Ultra HD content that can be streamed at multiple varying different qualities depending on the user device for a great experience. We also support music, podcasts, audiobooks, actual book PDFs, digital downloads, and even entire websites where the website, in a similar way to Cloudflare, gets proxied through the network and de-encrypted through the network, so that the user that gains access and is using the token protected website is unable to take that link and reshare it. The website access itself through the link is fully protected through the network. The long-term vision here is I see token gating as inverting the relationship that we have with platforms and dApps largely today, where instead of having a username and password to gain access to a platform where you then experience the content that this platform provides, instead, identity isn't linked to your account. Identity is linked to the tokens that you own. And I think this goes back to my first couple of slides where I was talking about how NFTs represent and have been representing your character, your identity within the community. And I think that really carries well here, where your identity, your character now literally acts as your pass to access content online, whatever that content might be. This is completely reinventing the idea of paywalls. The internet largely started from monetizing content through paywalls until ad tech kind of entered into the ecosystem. And now largely today, most content is monetized through advertising. And the reason why advertising is kind of so effective is paywalls are this mechanic in which you pay once as a consumer to then consume some content, but you're never part of that content. You're purely in this consumer relationship with it. And I think NFT access has a real way of inverting that relationship with paywalls, where instead of just being a consumer to gain access to a content, you become an actual owner of a digital scarce access key to that content itself. There's one more dimension I want to touch on before painting the full picture here, and I think this is a very important key to all of this, and that's NFT royalties. I think that royalties will become the most important aspect of any NFT platform going forward, because it effectively allows creators and communities to work together in new novel ways that I think will lend itself to whole new greenfield platforms. So unpacking that a little bit, I want to talk about the orbit model, which is a way of articulating a community and people involved in the community based off of the different types of users and their gravity towards the creation of value within that community. So, here we have at the center, the center of gravity, the creation of creative content itself coming from this DAO or community. And you have different layers of types of users, from advocates to contributors, participants, to just observers. With NFT access passes, you can now create a model in which these different types of users become part of how you monetize and create and ultimately distribute the value within your community. And I think this creates a virtuous cycle between creator and community, where maybe your early adopters and people that helped contribute occasionally to the project may get a discount to an NFT access pass. Maybe they get first access to buying these NFTs before the larger market gets access, whatever it might be. Once these early community members have access to these limited edition NFTs, they're able to turn around and market, distribute, and effectively become the distribution arm of the core creators. And as they are incentivized to sell, because they are benefiting financially from turning around and reselling, through the mechanic of royalties, the creator is always receiving their fair share wherever this token is bought and sold, anywhere on any blockchain, on any marketplace. I think that's the big vision. So today on Mintgate, you can specify near as the type of blockchain to token gate content with, and we support the token type of NEP4 and 171, as well as mint base tokens. We are working with Satori and Mintbase and Open Web Collective as close partners as we continue to build out our platform within the Near ecosystem. We are hoping to have a Near minting support coming soon to the platform. I will try to provide updates as we make progress. Beyond that, some of the items on our roadmap is to improve our API documentation for other platforms to integrate and to generate private content. And we also want to support token gated live streams very soon, high quality, built-in social feature live streams. We also want to support custom domains. So as a community, you can create a storefront of all your links that are token gated with different NFTs that you've created, and then have your own domain for just your storefront. And we're also working on the Mintgate protocol, which is a way of standardizing all the technologies in which Mintgate works and providing that as a general purpose engine that anyone can integrate, expand, add plugins to, and build upon. One of my favorite projects in the crypto ecosystem is Stoner Cats. They are, I think, one of the most interesting crypto projects of, at least in the last 12 months, in that they've been able to fund the production of TV content, creating episodes of high quality animated content through the pre-sales of NFTs. And these NFTs also act as vanity art for users buying access. And with these vanity NFTs, you gain access to the episodes as they're released. This is unbelievably a cool idea to be able to fund projects through NFTs. And it's my ambition to turn Mintgate into a white labeling engine so that any community that wants to do something like this, to pre-sell and fund the production of creative goods through NFTs, can stamp out these projects just with a few click of a button and provide this technology to any community that could use it for creating movies, audio content, whatever it might be. And this is just an example of a video playing on Mintgate today. You can see that when it plays, you get to see the creator of this video. If you click on the creator's name, you get to see their profile and all the token gated links that they've created. And then you also get to see the requirements for the tokens to access the video. And upon clicking the requirements, you can also buy the token wherever that token exists to gain access to the video if you don't have access already. So we're looking for creators, looking to do project, larger creative projects that are token gated today. If you're a video creator or doing podcasts or audiobooks, come to our website and click the community tab at the top. We'll also be dropping a Discord link. I think everyone's been emailed our Discord link too. And come and talk with us, and we can work with you one-on-one to help kind of find your feet and get onboarded with the platform. And that website is mintgate.io. You can also email us at hello@mintgate.io. Our Twitter is mintgate_io. And then lastly, I want to thank the rest of my 4 founders, Louis, Jennifer, David, and Simon, for their incredible heroic amount of hard work that they have done over the last 13 months. I have nothing but the utmost respect for my team. That's it, folks. Thank you so much for listening to my talk. I'll kick it back to Sasha.
Cool. And I'll ask Jonathan, thank you first of all for the presentation. I'll ask the same, what I asked Riqi. What are you the most excited about from now until end of the year?
Between now and the end of the year, I think the 2 things I'm most excited about is, one, supporting live streaming NFTs so that you could do concerts, live concerts that you could watch based off of if you pre-bought and own the NFT Access Pass. That really excites me. I'm really excited to release that as a feature. And let's see. I think I'm mostly excited just to see how many different creative communities that we can help, like actually in a meaningful way generate revenue that and a new form of monetizing their creative content that they control the market of, they control and own and have their tokens that control access to their content in a fully decentralized way. This is something that I'm super excited to help other people essentially become their own platform.
Mm-hmm. And among artists that you're working with, how many of them are you thinking about kind of becoming their own platform? Is it natural for creators to think that way, kind of like almost like a Web3 way to think about it, or does it take like quite a bit of kind of stepping in a space in order to be able to kind of change mindset towards this?
It's the studio. So for individual creators, it requires some hand holding, because it's to think about as a creator or a young community. There's a certain strategy that you have to have in place on how you want to create, your white labeled platform, and how you're going to build an audience for it, what type of content, what content length and size is suitable for releasing through through the NFTs that you're minting. It's much more natural to have this conversation with the art studios that we started forming a connection with, because they're already familiar with strategies of releasing content through a variety of different mediums. So we're talking with a variety of different video creation studios that have been crypto curious for a while, and helping them to onboard and use Mintgate as a white labeled solution to release high quality videos and exclusive podcasts through the platform.
Got it. That's exciting. And I would, as a next stage of it, I would love to actually people join AMA sessions. So next up we have AMA sessions. If you want to ask questions to Jonathan about anything related to Mintgate, future or NFT markets, or how do you think about it, if you want to get involved in any way, I would suggest you to join the Discord link. It's in the chat here. It's a Discord for Mintgate and specifically voice channel there. If you want to talk to Riqi and ask him questions in essentially AMA format, please head to Telegram for Paras community. There is a link also in a chat here in a Zoom. And if you want to ask questions about Human Guild, anything related to what we've done, and I realize and apologize, I did not do presentation mode for my presentation. Feel free to also talk to me and Vlad in our voice channel, and the link is again in a Zoom. And now we're going to split into essentially 3 different channels. So
yeah. Oh, Sasha, I forgot to mention something. The whole presentation that I just gave was actually through a Mintgate link. So the deck I was presenting through required ETH in order for me to actually present. So it's just one example of the type of content that you can present.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. Wonderful. So I'll jump over onto Discord, and if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask it in our voice channel on the Mintgate Discord.
Yeah, exactly. And just to kind of reiterate on logistics for Telegram, for Riqi, it's easier. It's just one channel. For Discords, for Jonathan and ourselves, important to mention which channel it will be on, and it will be in a voice channel specifically. So search for, if you go into heading for one of the Discord, search for a voice channel specifically. Cool. And I'll see you in the Discord. And if somebody cannot find the link for Discord, I noticed somebody's asking the question about the Discord for Mintgate, I would recommend to head to Mintgate's community link, as Jonathan mentioned earlier, and click on Discord there. So yeah, Thanks a lot for the presentations today. And we're going to head to different channels. Thank you, Riqi.
Right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye, all.